After 10 years in state care, I discovered an incredible secret, my family's heartwarming reunion. Jacob awoke each day clutching hope like a lifeline, surrounded by the echoes of a past he dared to recall. The cornfields rustling outside his window seemed to beckon him, whispering tales of connection and home. For a decade, he had lived in a shadowy world of foster care, yet dreams of reuniting with his mother and siblings bloomed in his heart like wildflowers in spring. He could almost remember their laughter, the warmth of their embrace, but memories remained like fleeting images, elusive and ethereal. Every morning, Jacob rose early, stretching his tired muscles as he prepared for another day of hard work. His hands bore the calluses of labor, worn yet skilled, filled with tenacity shaped by his circumstances. He poured his soul into his work at the local community center, where he felt the warmth of connection. Those bustling halls were alive with laughter, shared stories, and the comforting scent of bread from the free lunches served, creating an atmosphere as rich as the love he yearned for. As Jacob organized the donation shelf one afternoon, something caught his eye: a tattered photograph tucked between the pages of a well-worn book. He opened it carefully, and there they were, smiling faces, vibrant and full of life. His heart raced. It was his family, the faces he had longed to see. Tears pricked his eyes as he realized how truly precious these memories were. The moment reignited a fire within him, urging him to seek out the family he had lost. With purpose fueling his every step, Jacob ventured into the unknown. Confrontations with harsh realities awaited him at every corner. He learned about the systemic injustices that separated families like his and understood the overwhelming prejudices that had darkened their lives. He was filled with indignation, a powerful drive to reconnect with his family and fight for others like him left behind by society's carelessness. But just as Jacob felt ready to confront the past at town hall, an unexpected blow struck: a setback. His mentor and friend at the community center faced eviction. The air became heavy with uncertainty, and doubt crept into his heart. Did he have the strength to pursue his dream of finding his family? Before he could spiral into despair, hope flickered like candlelight in the dark. An anonymous tip about a family reunion happening in town ignited his determination once more. His heart raced with possibility, but he also felt a chill of fear. What if they weren't the same? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders and hope before him, Jacob stood at a crowded crossroads. The reunion was near, and every heartbeat echoed a mix of fear and anticipation. Secrets lingered in the shadows, threatening to unravel the fragile tapestry of his dreams. Could he navigate this delicate moment, or would the ghosts of the past overshadow his chance at redemption? Jacob felt the pull of fate inviting him to take that leap, but the outcome remained shrouded in mystery, waiting to be unveiled. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest as he stood outside the community center, the scent of freshly cut grass and the distant sound of laughter drifting from the park across the street. He could see families gathered under the sun, sharing stories and meals, and the sight sent a rush of bittersweet memories flooding back. It was all so familiar, yet so distant. It reminded him of what he had been denied for far too long. That he took a deep breath, grounding himself before he took the next step. The wooden door squeaked as he entered, filling his senses with the warmth of the center, the laughter of children, the clinking of utensils, and the warm glow of community spirit. Today was a day of significance. If he was going to find his family, he had to tell Mr. Bennett about the reunion. Bennett, his mentor, sat at a table cluttered with papers and coffee mugs. His graying hair glistened in the soft light, and his eyes sparkled with kindness. Jacob could always count on him to listen. "Jacob. You look like you've seen a ghost," Mr. Bennett said with a chuckle, but Jacob's expression quickly turned serious. "I need to talk to you," Jacob said, biting his lip. He glanced at the door where the world outside buzzed with laughter and love. "It's about my family." I think I've found them. Mr. Bennet raised an eyebrow, leaning in closer. Found them? Tell me everything. Jacob explained the tip he had received, how he had felt the excitement swell in his chest. As he spoke, Mr. Bennet's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. Jacob, that sounds promising, but you need to be prepared. Sometimes reunions can be tricky. People change, circumstances change. I know, but I need to try. I can't let this chance slip away. His voice trembled, both from urgency and the fear of rejection. What if they don't even want to see me? Mr. Bennet placed a comforting hand on Jacob's shoulder. You follow your heart, son. Just remember, no matter what happens, you have a bright future ahead of you. You're a fighter. Jacob nodded, feeling the weight of those words settle over him. They were a balm for his frayed nerves. The fear still lingered, but so did determination. He wouldn't back down this time. After their conversation, Jacob set off. He walked through the park, his heart racing at every step. Until now, hopes of reunion had felt like dreams. But now, they were tangible, almost within reach. He imagined his mother, the faces of his siblings, how they might react after years of silence. As he approached the park where the reunion was set to take place, anxiety twisted his stomach. What if they didn't recognize him? He stopped to take a look at himself in a nearby reflection. Disheveled hair, worn clothes, but there was a fire in his eyes, a spark of determination. Jacob took a breath and stepped forward. The park was alive with activity. People had gathered, congregating in colorful clusters, laughter ringing out like chimes in the breeze. He searched the crowds, scanning the familiar faces, hoping to find a shred of recognition. Then he spotted a woman laughing, a child nestled against her hip. In that moment, time suspended. Could it be? Her hair was darker, but the same smile he remembered lit up her face. He felt pulled toward her, an ache of longing swelling within him, but when he finally got closer, her laughter suddenly stopped and she turned to face him. Her eyes widened in shock. Did she recognize him? Jacob? She breathed, uncertainty lacing her voice. The moment hung like a thread stretched to its limit, waiting to snap. He stood frozen, yearning for her embrace but fearing the truth of what could unfold next. What would it mean if she didn't feel the same? And in that instant, with everything at stake, Jacob had a choice to make. Would he take the leap, or retreat into the shadows once more? Jacob's legs felt like they were stuck in quicksand. His heart thundered in his ears as he searched her face, desperately hoping to see recognition and warmth. Mom. The word barely escaped his lips, shaky and uncertain. Her expression shifted, all at once a storm of emotions flickered across her features: confusion, disbelief, then hope. She stepped forward, almost hesitant, like she was caught between a memory and the present. Jacob? Is it really you? A part of him wanted to close the gap, to bridge the years of separation with a hug that could span a lifetime of missed moments. But he remained rooted to the spot, a part of him fearful of what this connection might bring. Yeah, it's me, he said softly, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. The child in her arms, a girl with curly dark hair, stared at him with large, curious eyes, as if assessing the man their mother had just recognized. Mom knelt down, trying to maintain her composure. You're all grown up. It's been so long, she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. He took a tiny step forward, fighting the urge to reach for her right away. I've missed you. I've thought about you every day. She nodded, wiping a tear from her cheek. I didn't know if I would ever see you again. Her voice cracked, breaking through the flood of emotions that seemed to swell around him. Before he could gather his strength, the child tugged at her mother's shirt, looking from her to Jacob. Mom, who is he? The moment felt suspended in time, layers of words left unspoken. He is someone very important, sweetheart. Her gaze shifted back to Jacob, full of questions and vulnerability. Jacob's heart raced again. He wanted to tell her everything: how he had searched for her all these years, how he was ready to share his life with her once again. But he also wanted to protect her from the hurt that life had dealt them both. He stammered, words tangled in his throat. I wanted to come home. To be with you. She took a deep breath, as if trying to reconcile this unexpected moment with the shattering silence of their shared history. It feels so surreal. You don't know how often I've dreamed of you walking back into my life. Hope flickered in Jacob's chest as she stepped closer, her hands trembling as she reached for him. He met her halfway, their fingers brushing before they entwined. The warmth ignited something within him, a spark that felt like return, like belonging. But then, reality crept back in. What if it's too late? He thought, his stomach knotting again. They were both strangers now, despite the bond they shared. What if the years apart had changed everything? Just as he opened his mouth to speak, a voice broke through the haze. Mom, can we play now? The little girl tugged impatiently, an innocent reminder of the life that moved on while they had been apart. Yes, sweetheart, just a moment, she replied, her gaze not leaving Jacob. Can you wait here for a second? Jacob nodded, his heart pounding anew. His eyes darted around him, the laughter and joy of the park mingling with the new anxiety creeping in. Would his mother truly want him back, or was this just a fleeting moment lost in time? As she walked away to soothe her daughter, Jacob felt the weight of the unasked questions hanging over them. What would happen next? Would she take that step back into his heart, or would he be left standing there, hoping for a connection that had felt so real but could slip away just as easily? And with every passing second, he wondered how to tell her the truth about everything he had found out about their past. The truth might just change everything. Jacob stood frozen, his mind racing as he watched the two of them. The sounds of laughter and joyful shouts echoed around him, but he felt a crushing silence in that moment. His world narrowed down to the contrast of his mother, reaching for a little girl, and the unyielding distance that still stretched between them. His heart sank as he squeezed his eyes shut, memories crashing over him like waves. Fragmented images of a different life, birthdays celebrated alone, and holidays spent in the shadows of care facilities. Then one undeniable truth shone through the haze as the sunlight filtered around him. He had never stopped searching for her, dreaming of this very moment. When she returned, crouching down to her daughter's level, Jacob felt the rush of time bend again. The little girl's impatience was infectious. Can I go play, please? She pleaded, her voice bright and demanding. Okay, just a little longer. The mother smiled at her child, but her eyes rested on Jacob, searching for something. It was as if she was asking him to fill in the missing pieces of their convoluted puzzle, but he knew he didn't have the answers yet. I still don't understand, he finally whispered, the weight of every lost year heavy on his heart. What happened? Why did you leave? Her face paled slightly, and he could see the turmoil hidden behind her bright eyes. There's so much. Her voice barely above a whisper. Jacob's breath faltered again. The wordless heaviness swirled around them, thickening the air as he realized that, despite the initial spark, unprocessed pain loomed large between them. The dreams he had clung to, were they just dreams? Before he could reach for her again, the little girl, impatient and full of life, tugged at her mom. Mom! Playtime! Okay, she chuckled feebly, ruffling the girl's curls. Go on, I'll catch up in a moment. The girl scampered off, leaving Jacob with the mother he longed for but barely knew. Jacob, she began, hesitation lacing her tone, I could never forget you. I thought it was for the best. His pulse quickened. He didn't want excuses. He needed to understand, perhaps more now than ever. Best for you. Or best for me. Her gaze turned to the ground. Jacob felt the familiar sting of loneliness creeping in. They were connected by blood, by family, but the truth felt as far away as ever. Shoulders stiffening with every passing second, he gathered his strength. I need the truth. I owe it to myself, to us. She flinched, visibly shaken by his words. Jacob, it's complicated. "I can't just," the girl's voice echoed back, an agitated squeal as she turned to them from a distance. "Mom. Come on." Her innocent laughter hung in the air, juxtaposing their tumultuous reunion. Jacob's heart clenched. He wanted to scream, to demand answers to all the questions that had haunted him. Instead, it felt like they were treading on unsteady ground. Would they find a way to bridge this gap, or had too many years created a chasm that couldn't be crossed? As he restlessly glanced around the park, he caught sight of people laughing, families huddled together, and memories he longed to create. Finally, she reached out, her hand still trembling. I didn't think you'd ever want to know," she murmured. "But I'll tell you everything, I promise." Yet as she spoke those promises, Jacob's mind raced ahead. Was sharing their past a way to mend the future or simply tear them apart again? In that moment of connection, with uncertainty looming larger than ever, he could only wait for her next words, fraught with the promise of revelation. What secrets had she kept all these years, and would learning them bring him closer or push him away? Jacob watched his mother's hand tremble as she held it out to him. It wasn't a grand gesture, but in that moment, it felt monumental. Something deep within him stirred, a flicker of hope battling with doubt. He slowly reached out, his fingertips brushing against her palm, and an electric jolt of connection pulsed through him. I need to know," he rasped, his voice thick with unshed tears. "What happened? Why weren't you there?" Her eyes glistened, reflecting the sunlight filtering through the trees, but the joy of the moment felt lost in a labyrinth of confusion. "Jacob, it wasn't a choice, not the way it looked," she began, each word heavy and measured. "I loved you. I still do. But life it took turns I never expected." The playful cries of the little girl echoed in the background, a reminder of the normalcy Jacob had yearned for. "Life?" he echoed bitterly, the edges of his heart sharp with the truth he wasn't ready to tackle. "Is that what you call abandoning your child? Life twisted in a way to let me go, while you got to find joy. I tried to get you back," she exclaimed, desperation lacing her voice. "I fought so hard, but I lost everything." That word hung in the air between them, heavy like a weight. Everything. Jacob felt the walls around him closing in, squeezing him tight. "You lost me," he whispered, eyes fixed on the world beyond, her family's laughing, children filled with hope. She stepped closer, urgency in her voice. "Jacob, listen. There were circumstances, things you wouldn't understand. I was young and scared. I thought leaving was the best for," she faltered, tears finally escaping down her cheeks. "I thought I was saving you from a life of pain. The truth is, I never knew how to be a mother." A tremor ran through Jacob. Could he believe her? He searched her face for any hint of deception but only found anguish. "What about those stories you told my foster families? That I was better off?" He recoiled at the thought. "You made me think you didn't care." Her expression crumpled, and for a moment, they both stood in the storm of emotions. "If only you knew how many nights I spent dreaming of you," she whispered. His heart twisted. Did it matter? The longing he had for a mother, did it make a difference if she had felt the same? Just when he thought he'd uncovered the truth, more layers unfurled, revealing the chaos buried beneath. "Mom, I had to survive the daily chaos without you," he said, voice breaking. "Every birthday, every holiday I was alone. I thought of you. I was so afraid," she countered, pleading. "The system, it was overwhelming. I didn't ask for excuses." His voice was thick with cold determination. "I want answers. What did it cost? What did you sacrifice to send me away?" Before she could reply, the little girl zoomed back, a whirlwind of energy. "Look, Mommy. I made a friend." Her laughter bubbled up, innocent and relentless, yet it pierced through Jacob like an arrow. How could everything just keep moving when his world was so fragile? His mother turned to the girl, her expression softening, but Jacob felt the walls of his reality tightening again. Beneath the revelations, a deep-rooted need for connection clawed at him. Just as he wrestled with his thoughts, the soft, sweet voice of the girl sliced through. "Mom, can we go get ice cream now?" "Of course," she exclaimed, lifting her spirits, then glancing back at Jacob. Can you join us?" Jacob's heart sank. Could he step into this new role? Would he be part of their laughter, needing to face whatever truth lurked in shadows? He hesitated, weighing the urge to run away against the flicker of hope lighting the edges of his heart. Would he dare to take a step forward into this uncertain future? As he locked eyes with her, Jacob knew this choice would be pivotal. Would he cling to his pain or embrace the unknown? The moment stretched out before him, thick with the promise of love and hurt, and he couldn't help but wonder what awaited him just beyond that decision. Could ice cream sweeten the bitter taste of their past, or would it leave a sharper sting? Jacob stood frozen, caught between the weight of his past and the allure of a future unknown. Every instinct screamed at him to turn away, to protect the fragile heart that had been calloused by years of neglect and loneliness. But the sweet laughter of the little girl, as vibrant as summer, reached into his chest, pulling him closer to something he had nearly forgotten. Hope. His mother beamed, genuinely joyful, eyes full of longing. "Please, Jacob. Just one small step. Let us show you what we can be." He glanced at the girl, her pigtails bouncing as she danced around them. She was a world of innocence, running in circles as if their heartbreak didn't exist. Jacob felt a mix of emotions: fear, anger, hope swirling chaotically within him. Could he really step into this life, even for a moment? Is it really possible? He whispered, eyes searching his mother's. "Can we be a family?" Her expression softened further, the flicker of possibility igniting a warmth deep inside him. "We can try. One day at a time." Just then, the girl tugged at her mother's hand. "Come on. Ice cream." Jacob's heart slowly began to thaw. With a shaky breath, he nodded. "Okay. I'll come, for ice cream." The words felt heavy, yet liberating, like breaking free from shackles he didn't know he still wore. They began walking together, the little girl dashing ahead, her laughter ringing like music. With each step, Jacob felt the ground beneath him shifting, trembling with anticipation and dread. Would this really lead to something new? Or was he setting himself up for another fall? As they approached the ice cream parlor, a quaint little shop adorned with bright colors and cheerful decorations, Jacob inhaled sharply. The smell wafting through the air was sweet, layered with the memories of childhood he never had. His heart ached to envision what could have been family outings, laughter, shared treats. The sound of the bell jingling as they entered sparked a flurry of sensory memories. He scanned the menu, and suddenly he was a child again, faced with an overwhelming sea of choices. The little girl clapped her hands, her favorite flavors spilling from her mouth in a frenzy. "Look, they have sprinkles!" she squealed, eyes wide with delight. Jacob chuckled, the corners of his mouth twitching upward involuntarily. It felt strange, yet wonderful to share such a simple joy. His mother stepped closer, her warmth radiating as she smiled at him, igniting a flicker of warmth inside his chest. "You could have any flavor you want, Jacob," she encouraged softly. "Pick something special." Their eyes met, and in that moment, Jacob felt a tidal wave of emotions. He could sense the possibilities ahead, mixed with all the scars he bore. The fear of being hurt again gnawed at him, but something inside urged him to push through. "I want chocolate chip cookie dough," he declared, surprising himself in the process. Did it feel too greedy to wish for a taste of happiness? Perhaps it was the first step toward reconciling with a tumultuous past. His mother nodded, pride shimmering in her gaze. "Good choice. It's the best." As they ordered, the little girl burst into giddy laughter again, her unfiltered joy dissolving some of Jacob's unease. Maybe he could let this moment sway him away from the shadows. Maybe he could allow himself to believe in simple joys. But just as his heart began to settle, the door swung open with a sharp clang, and in walked a figure from Jacob's past, ghost-like and haunting, a reminder of all that he had left behind. His breath caught in his throat as memories assaulted him, disbelief flooding his senses. "What are you doing here?" he thought, panic swelling inside him. The figure glanced his way, locking eyes with Jacob, and in that split second, his world tilted again. Just when he thought he was stepping into healing, darkness loomed closer, threatening to snatch away this fragile moment of joy. What new truths awaited him now, and could he withstand another storm? The figure strode across the quaint parlor, a shadow weaving through vibrant colors. Jacob's heart raced, each beat pounding in his ears. Familiarity seared through him like an iron brand. It was Daniel, his old friend, the one who had vanished when Jacob needed him the most. The one who had promised to stand by Jacob's side when life turned ugly. "Hey, Jacob," Daniel said, his voice low, a hesitant echo of their past. Jacob's stomach churned. He hadn't seen Daniel since he'd been placed in foster care, those years marked by separation and silence. The warmth of the moment was crushed under the weight of memories of betrayals, lost camaraderie, and broken promises. "Why are you here?" Jacob managed, forcing his voice to steady, like tightrope walking over an abyss. "Look, I know it's been a long time," Daniel replied, glancing at the little girl, then back at Jacob. "And I'm sorry. I heard about your mom. I just wanted to check in." Uncertainty flickered across Jacob's heart like a flame on the brink. Here, amid the laughter and ice cream, where hope had just begun to blossom, lay the ghost of someone who once meant everything to him. The warmth from moments shared as children, the carefree laughs they mashed together with the bitterness of abandonment. "Check in." Jacob scoffed, trying to build a wall around the ache in his chest. "You disappeared when it mattered most. What do you expect me to say?" The little girl, blissfully unaware of the tension swirling, tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mom! Can we sit? I want my ice cream." "Sweetheart, just a minute," she replied gently, her eyes darting between Jacob and Daniel, trying to bridge the chasm of emotions that had suddenly deepened. "Look, I know I messed up," Daniel said, desperation coating his words. "I didn't have a choice back then. I wanted to help you. I wanted to be your friend." Jacob clenched his fists. "You think saying sorry makes everything okay? You just forgot me." The ice cream parlor buzzed with laughter and chatter, but it was all background noise to Jacob now. He felt trapped, an empty vessel adrift when he used to be anchored. Memories flooded back, shared dreams of escaping foster care, of finding families together. But instead of comfort, all that resided now was a churning void. Daniel began, but the little girl began to whine. "Mom! I wanna go. I'm coming, honey." Her voice was steady, though concern shadowed her features. Jacob's heart twisted. He longed to flee, to run far away from this painful tableau. Yet he stood still, battling chains of nostalgia and anger tightening around him as memories of fractured safety buzzed in his mind. Daniel sighed, mustering courage. "I never wanted to leave you behind. I was taken too, Jacob." Things changed. Suddenly, curiosity sparked amidst his anger. "Taken?" Jacob repeated, words like shards of glass. Daniel nodded, his expression tense. "Yeah, I ended up in a different home. It wasn't what you think. I tried to look for you, man. I swear I did." The weight of those words hung heavily in the air, mixing with the scent of waffle cones and chocolate. Jacob's chest clenched. Doubt battled with a flicker of understanding. "Will you excuse us for a moment?" Jacob's mother asked softly, her eyes filled with concern for both the boys. Jacob felt her hand on his back, a grounding presence, as she drew him toward a quieter corner of the parlor. The little girl, excited by the promise of her ice cream, skipped ahead. But Jacob's mind whirled. Could Daniel be right? Could they have shared a fate, a bond lost through the chaos of life? "For 10 years, I thought you ditched me," Jacob said, heart racing in response to the unwelcome emotions. I thought about you every day. I really did. I'm just hoping we can figure this out. Together, Daniel pleaded, his eyes searching for forgiveness. The chill of fear swept through Jacob again. Could he let anyone back in, even a piece of his old life? Just then, the little girl returned, clutching 2 ice cream cones dripping with promise. Look! I got sprinkles! She exclaimed, oblivious to the storm brewing between the 2 men. As laughter bubbled back up, Jacob's heart hesitated. Was this a moment to let go or a moment to dive deeper into the fragile thread of connection? I'm not sure I can do this, Jacob confessed quietly, voice barely above a whisper. But just as a new path opened before him, the door swung wide, revealing another figure lurking on the edge of his new hope. Would healing come at the price of more pain? And who else had come creeping back into Jacob's fragile world? The door swung open to reveal a woman, her eyes wide and searching. Jacob squinted, trying to process the sudden change in atmosphere. There she stood, unmistakable, the last of his real family. Mom. Jacob breathed, disbelief anchoring him to the spot. The familiar face belonged to Sarah, his older sister. She had always been the glue that held his world together before all shattered. Jacob. Sarah rushed forward, enveloping him in a hug that felt like coming home. Her familiar scent of lavender filled his senses, grounding him. It was brief yet overwhelming, like a burst of sunshine breaking through a storm. Daniel stepped back, his expression shifting from eagerness to confusion. You didn't tell me you had family? Jacob felt the tension pull taut again, a mixture of joy for seeing Sarah and dread at the storm brewing around him. What are you doing here? He asked, pulling away just enough to study her face. I had to find you, Sarah stammered, tears glistening in her eyes. I heard you were in town, and I've missed you so much. I thought you'd disappeared too. Jacob's voice shot out like an arrow, a mixture of anger and hurt mingling in the air. Why didn't I know you were looking for me? I tried, Jacob. She insisted, her voice trembling. But after everything, I was in a different home, just like you. I never stopped searching. It was impossible to find you. Until now. Daniel stood by, a witness to the raw emotion erupting around him. The little girl, distracted by her ice cream, munched happily, the joy unfurling her innocence across the parlor. The words hung in the air, amplifying the reality that they were all caught in a web of misfortune and lost years. Memories washed over Jacob like waves, tangling his heart in nostalgia. 10 years, he whispered, the heartbreak tethering him. 10 years of silence, and now you're here. Jacob, I know it's confusing. But you need to understand, Sarah pleaded, stepping closer as if each move mattered. What we had before. It can come back. We can start again. Her voice carried the weight of hope, but doubt gnawed at Jacob. Could he really trust that this time would be different? Daniel cleared his throat, breaking into the emotional tide. You know what? I really think this is a moment to celebrate. You found your family like you always wanted. But Jacob only felt the tense wires of the situation tighten again. He stepped back, the joy of seeing Sarah clashing with the remnants of anger he felt toward Daniel. You can't just swoop back in like everything's fine. Jacob, please, Sarah said, her eyes shimmering. We have the chance to make things right. Together. Don't you want that? His heart raced, conflicting emotions swirling like a whirlpool. Could he really navigate the depths of betrayal, fear, and longing all at once? A powerful shout erupted from the little girl, Mom. Ice cream fight. Ice cream cones shot like missiles, erupting into laughter as chaos unfolded. Jacob couldn't help but smile at the innocent joy. It was contagious, a brief escape from the heaviness surrounding him. But just as he turned to catch the moment, he felt a hand on his arm. Daniel. Let us figure this out, Daniel whispered. I get it. I'm the last person you want to trust, but we both lost everything. Maybe it's time to regain a part of it. As the room swirled with laughter and tears, Jacob's breath hitched. He was at a crossroads. Trust was hard-won, but perhaps this was all part of a new beginning or the beginning of more heartache. With a single deep breath, Jacob faced both of them, uncertainty swirling in his gut. Would he dare to believe in the possibility of gathering the broken pieces of his life? But before he could answer, a stranger peered through the doorway, a familiar face from another time. "What is going on here?" The voice rang out, chilling the air, a ghost returning to haunt Jacob's fragile new world. Could he face another revelation? What if this was the storm he feared all along? Jacob's heartbeat quickened, the familiar face freezing him in place. It was Rick, the man who had been part of his life once, then vanished like smoke. A wave of memories crashed over him, those long hours spent in the care facility, Rick's reassuring presence, and the sudden silence that followed when he left. "What are you doing here?" Jacob managed, his voice barely above a whisper. Rick stepped forward, his hands raised in peace. "I came to check on you, kid. I didn't know you were here." His tone was measured but with a texture of unease that matched the weight in Jacob's stomach. Sarah flinched, her earlier confidence evaporating. "Rick, why are you here now? Have you been looking for Jacob too?" Rick's eyes darted between them, a slight tremor in his hands. "It's complicated. I didn't know how to reach you," he admitted softly, a hint of regret weaving through his words. Jacob felt the walls close in. They weren't just conversations anymore, they were a fog of questions that threatened to suffocate him. "Complicated? You say that like it excuses everything." Anger surged as memories turned bitter. "You left without a word. You were supposed to protect us." "Jacob, I need you to listen," Rick insisted, his voice straining. "I didn't have a choice. I swear, every day I wished I could bring you all together." With a wave of ice flooding his chest, Jacob reminded himself of the promise he'd made to guard his heart. People left. That's just how life was. Yet here stood Sarah, offering them hope amid the rubble. Could he bear to open his heart to Rick's words? The little girl continued her ice cream mayhem, laughter echoing around the room. It reminded Jacob of simpler times, when life felt like an endless summer. "I think I deserve an explanation, don't you?" Jacob narrowed his gaze at Rick, searching for sincerity in his old mentor's face. Rick breathed in, visibly steeling himself. "I'm here because I heard things about what happened to you both. Things that could change everything." "What do you mean?" Sarah stepped forward, her brow furrowing. "If you know something, just say it. I don't have time to explain everything right now, but trust me when I say there are people who want to keep you apart, and I might have a way to find out who." "Find out who?" Jacob echoed, a mix of hope and dread swirling within him. "Those in the system who wanted to silence the truth," Rick continued, his tone dropping to a whisper. "About your parents, about why you ended up in care." Jacob felt a piercing pulse of anxiety. He wanted answers, but what if they unraveled even more threads from the life he desperately sought to rebuild? What if the truth was darker than he could handle? "Jacob." Daniel's voice sliced through, sudden and jarring. "This isn't helping. We need to focus on this moment, what Sarah just found. We just brought you together." "Together?" Jacob's frustration boiled over. "Did you even hear what he said?" The festive chaos faded into silence, each pair of eyes now fixed on Jacob. The weight of the situation sat heavy on his shoulders. He glanced at Sarah, who was watching him with a mixture of expectation and fear. "If what Rick says is true," Jacob began, struggling against the pull of the past. "Then we can't afford to turn away, not now." Rick nodded, gratitude rising in his expression. "Good, because it's dangerous. But this might be our only chance to uncover the truth." The storm within Jacob raged on, yet a flicker of resolve began to glow. Was he ready to confront ghosts that had plagued him for far too long? Before he could answer, the door swung wide, letting in an icy draft, and another figure stepped into the light, a woman in a tailored suit, her demeanor sharp and alert. "Excuse me," she said, casting a wary glance at Rick and then Jacob, "but we need to talk about your family history. It's urgent." Would this meeting be yet another twist in the tangled web of his life? Could he handle whatever truth lay ahead? Jacob's heart raced, uncertainty flooding his thoughts as the woman stepped into the room with an air of authority. She was a stranger, a force of nature amidst the fragile reunion he had longed for. But in his gut, he sensed that the conversation she would bring could either provide the answers he desperately sought or rip apart the delicate stitches that had begun to bind his family back together. "Who are you?" he asked cautiously, his voice barely masking the tension hovering thick in the air. She paused, pulling back slightly, gauging his emotions. "My name is Angela," she said, her tone steady and even. "I'm with Children and Family Services." Her gaze shifted from Jacob to Sarah, then to Rick. "We have serious matters to discuss regarding your family history. It's crucial that you understand the situation." The air crackled with unsaid words as the mention of family history weighed heavily upon him. Jacob's thoughts spun wildly. What could possibly be so urgent? Now. Here, in this bittersweet moment he didn't want to mar with the past. "Let me guess," Jacob replied sarcastically, his walls rising again. "You've come to inform us of more heartbreak lurking behind this reunion. More things ripped away before I even had a chance." His mother's eyes widened in alarm. She reached out for him, but Jacob took a step back, overwhelmed by frustration. His world had been a tangled mess of disconnections and lost moments, and he simply craved for once, just once, to hold on to something pure. "Jacob!" Sarah interjected, her voice filled with urgency. "You need to hear what she has to say. Maybe it will explain." The woman, the representative, interjected before Jacob could voice his objections. "Jacob, please. I wouldn't have come if this wasn't critical. There is information about your mother and the circumstances that led to your family being separated." The room fell quiet, the laughter of the little girl dimming into silence as the reality of her words settled. Jacob felt the ground beneath him shift again. "Go on," he said, his voice sharper now, only barely hiding his turmoil. Angela took a deep breath. "Your mother fought hard to keep you, but there were circumstances beyond her control. You deserve to know the truth about your family. There are factors that altered everything." Rick stepped forward, concern deepening the lines on his face. "What are you saying?" "Years ago, your mother was misled about her rights, Jacob. Some mistakes were made that she wasn't aware of. It may have impacted your custody. There may be information that could restore the bond, but it won't be easy." "What are you saying?" he echoed, anger simmering beneath his skin. "You have a chance to understand everything, Jacob. You can rebuild your connection. But it means digging deeper into your family's history and the mistakes that were made," Angela said softly, her tone almost maternal. Just then, Jacob's vision blurred. Memories flashed before him, every lonely birthday, every cold, silent holiday. 10 years spent wishing for what was rightfully his, and the ache of displacement that never left. He wanted answers. Could this mean I could finally find peace? He thought, but dread curled in the pit of his stomach. It could just as easily send him spiraling into chaos again. Will we have to go back through that system? Jacob's voice quivered with fear. What if the truth is more painful? Sarah stepped closer, determination etched on her features. Then we face it together. You don't have to do this alone, Jacob. In that moment, his mother's words washed over him, grounding him. Perhaps facing the shadows would lead them to the light. Perhaps this was the closure he had yearned for, an opportunity to reclaim not just the past, but a future filled with family bonds he had always desired. Okay, he whispered, the decision made deep within him. Let us find out the truth. Together. Sarah's hopeful gaze anchored him, pulling him back from the edge of uncertainty. Together, Jacob affirmed, his heart swelling with a mix of trepidation and hope. looking around at the faces surrounding him. His mother, sister, Daniel. Jacob felt the fragile stitches of their new family start to intertwine, creating something resilient. Clear eyes met his, and he felt a flicker of warmth crawling back into his chest as Angela nodded, acknowledging their resolve. "All right then, let us begin," she stated, her voice steady now, filled with purpose. As the group settled into the task ahead, Jacob felt an energy shift in the air. This journey would challenge them, without a doubt. It might even tear open wounds they thought were long healed. But suddenly, despite the uncertainty, the shadows of the past began to seem a bit smaller. The sun shone brighter, the laughter of the little girl wrapping around them as they steeled themselves to face what came next. This moment was different. Each step toward the truth was a step toward healing, a step toward becoming who he was truly meant to be. As they embraced the storm ahead, Jacob knew his life was finally about to change. If you felt moved by Jacob's journey, don't wait a second longer. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel for more inspiring stories like this. Hit that like button now to help feed the algorithm. Every click counts. We want to hear your thoughts, so comment below with your feelings about this emotional ending. Lastly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful transformation. Show your support now. Don't let the moment pass you by.